Well, China has called on the Philippines to stop its provocative behaviour in the South China Sea. The Philippines has accused the Chinese Coast Guard of damaging one of its boats in disputed waters. Sky News was on board the Filipino vessel when it came into contact with the Chinese Coast Guard.
This is a window into part of the world few see. At such close range, we're in a vast area of water that's played host to a kind of brinkmanship that now looks very fragile. Beijing calls this the South China Sea. To these men and their government, it is the West Philippine Sea. Dawn breaks and there's tension already apparent. We're being trailed by the Chinese Coast Guard. Our vessel is on a resupply mission to Scarborough Shoal, a submerged reef, to help fishermen who depend on the lives that live beneath. But this is no ordinary food delivery. It's a high-stakes venture into contested waters, where confrontation is now common. Chinese vessels start encircling the boat we're on, blocking its path.
There is a clear choreography to all of this. Familiar moves are playing out every day in the South China Sea. And yet, you get a sense things could take a turn for the worse very quickly.
And soon it does. A volley of water suddenly smashes into the Philippine vessel as we're on the deck.
Well, the Chinese are now deploying water cannons, firing it directly towards our boat.
It is instant chaos.
You can feel the water coming through. There is nothing subtle about this.
The force is ferocious. The worst they've ever seen. It rips apart the roof. This is what we are in the middle of, an image that shows just how low relations have sunk. One voice you haven't heard from is America, but its deepening ties with the Philippines has added fuel to this fire. That raises the spectre of a superpower showdown, even if no one currently wants it.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? Let's bring in the Shadow Foreign Minister, Simon Birmingham, on that note. Simon, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning, as always. So how alarmed are you about that kind of stuff? I mean, it's not new. It's been going on for a long time now, which was the point of the story, but still quite alarming, isn't it?
Well, these confrontations have been occurring for a long time, but they've also been escalating in their frequency and their severity. And the actions of China are dangerous, they're provocative, and they're unjustified. China should be having regard to the rulings that have been made by independent arbitration in relation to the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. And that does not give China the right to behave in this type of way or to sustain the type of claims that they make. And ultimately, all countries need to be standing firmly with the Philippines against this type of aggressive behaviour by China, which risks dangerous escalation in the region and which is completely unjustified given the way in which international law has been determined in this regard.
Still related to China, Simon, Solomon Islands, the Prime Minister Manisa Sogavare has stepped aside. Do you think that will change anything when it comes to China on the island, or will it be more of the same?
Well, all elections deliver messages in their outcome, and whilst overwhelmingly the Solomon Islands election would have been a domestic matter, there's no doubt that the voting trends that we're seeing would have contained some international factors and consideration of the way in which the Solomon Islands had taken its international relations in recent years. And that has seen Prime Minister Sogavare move aside after the poor result by his party and his electorate. A new government will be installed, and the test for the Australian government is to make sure that in deeds as well as words, Australia is genuinely the preferred security partner of choice for the Solomon Islands, and that we are able to work as closely and comprehensively with the Solomon Islands government to have a really effective relationship of Pacific Island nations leading Pacific solutions to Pacific problems.
Okay, just on to domestic matters now today. National Cabinet starts in 2 hours' time. On domestic violence, that's going to be the key issue today. There's going to be this push for tougher restrictions, including ankle bracelets, as well as access to online content. What do you hope to see? And are there any South Australian examples that could be used here?
Well, Pete, look, we certainly give bipartisan support to all efforts to combat this scourge, to make sure that Australian women are safe and that we reverse what has been a disturbing trend in seeing the numbers go in the wrong direction around the number of women who are tragically dying as a result of family and domestic violence. South Australia is in the midst of beginning a Royal Commission that will be led by Natasha Stott-Despoja. That should provide additional insights, but it shouldn't be a case of states, territories or the Albanese government waiting for that Royal Commission to report next year. It should be a case of ensuring that all urgent action that can be taken now is taken, that laws are strengthened where appropriate in relation to coercive control or the like, and that Natasha's work as a Royal Commissioner equally can build and add, and I have no doubt it will, to the type of legal frameworks and actions that can make for a safer environment.
Okay, we've got the Treasurer Jim Chalmers coming up in the program next hour too, Simon. He's got an announcement today that overseas investors with proven track records will receive accelerated approvals under a revamp designed to lure more foreign capital into Australian shores. What are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, the devil will be in the detail. Australia is a country that has benefited enormously from foreign investment, and we should be making all foreign investment as easy as possible to access in Australia, unless it is contrary to the national interest, unless it presents a danger or risk to our national security because of the type of sector it's invested in or the type of purchaser that is involved. And I'm concerned if the government is saying it's going to give some type of easy process to its preferred industries, therefore suggesting that the less preferred industries have a harder time in the foreign investment landscape. If it can be made simpler,
such as?
It should be made simpler. Well, it's up for the government to define who their preferred and less preferred industries may be. My message is that if foreign investment processes and procedures can be made simpler and faster, they ideally would be made simpler and faster in all circumstances except for where there is a national security threat or where it is clearly contrary to the national interest.
Okay. Simon Birmingham, the Shadow Foreign Minister, appreciate your time as always.